Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing really well today. So today I am finally doing a review of the Smashbox Heatwave palette. So I got this palette at the beginning of the summer and I've been meaning to do a review for a really long time, and it was just one of those palettes where I wanted to love it so bad, but I kept having like certain issues with it, and I wanted to make sure I had a chance to use it enough that I could really recommend it either one way or the other, or tell you guys at least specifically what the pros and cons were about it, because it is a fairly expensive palette, and so I definitely don't want to just recommend something for you guys that's really expensive if it's not really great, or at least without telling you what the cons are to it. And I don't want to talk negatively about a product that could be great for a lot of people. So I've given it some time and worked with it, and so this is my opinion. So first of all, the container is lovely. Like, the container is super sturdy. It's a nice size. It's not huge or too small or anything. It's super sturdy. If you are familiar with Mally Beauty, the Mally Perfect palette, More Perfect palette, and Even More Perfect palettes have basically the same exact container. I think they might be using the same company, because another one of Smashbox, another one of their recent things that they came out with, also I noticed had the same packaging as one of the other Mally packages. So, but anyway, the outside of the package is exactly the same. The inside has a really nice mirror. It's like full size, very nice quality and everything, and the actual size of the eyeshadows are very decent. They're very large shadows. Down here you have a brush that, in my opinion, is very nice for a brush that comes with a palette. You know, so many palettes, the brush is like, meh, you know, like even if it's okay, it's just okay. It's very rare for me to get a palette that comes with a brush that I really like. So this brush is dual-ended, which I don't mind because I'm just going to keep it in the palette. But you have a smudger side over here that is it's stiff enough to smudge things out, thick enough to smudge things out, and small enough to be able to get into little places to smudge or to add highlight if you wanted to, like, carefully in the inner corner. And I actually didn't have a brush exactly like this, so I'm happy to get that. The other side is large for an eyeshadow brush. If you can see my eye, it seems very large, but because of the way that it's tapered, if you just dip the tip of it in your eyeshadow, you could apply just like this part of the brush to your lid, and you wouldn't be using like the whole entire brush on your lid, just this part. So it's workable, I feel, to be able to put lid color on, and then it's big enough to like sweep highlight shade, and then it's also like sort of pointy and thinner this way, so I think you could use it also for the crease. So, you know, like, I could use this brush to do my whole entire eye look. Definitely. Do I have other brushes that might work better? Like, I personally would rather reach for my MAC 239 to apply shadows on the lid. I feel like it packs on shadow a little bit better than this because it's a little looser. I feel like a brush like this is going to be causing a little bit more fallout, like tendency, because it's looser here. But I mean, you know, for what it is, definitely as a crease or a highlight, I think it's nice. For a palette brush, I think it's really nice. I've seen a lot of reviews of people complaining about it, and I'm not exactly sure why, because for me, I think it's pretty decent. As far as the eyeshadows go, I'm gonna be honest and say that the formula is not the nicest of the nice. I've had some fallout issues. It depends really on how you use them. And one thing that I found out is that I've seen a lot of other people saying that there are two matte shades in the palette. There's one right here and one right here, and these are actually not matte shades. And I'm really picky about that because if it has any kind of sheen whatsoever, that's not matte. Sometimes people will make their matte shades have a little bit of a sheen because the formula will allow it to blend better, and that's kind of how these are. They blend really well. I feel like they soak into the skin very nicely. I've got the light peach one right here, and my light is kind of going out today. It's getting a little dark. I've got inner lights, but hopefully these will show up the way that they are for you. And then the other matte one, or I guess slight sheen. I mean, it's a very slight sheen. It's just not a true matte. It's right here. And So one thing that I found though, I also read a lot of complaints about shadows not sticking, and it happened to me too. And what I figured out was that if I used those two matte shades first and tried to build up color on top of them, it wouldn't stick. So for some reason those two shadows, I mean, they're fine if you just apply, like, if you apply them where you want them, but if you do, like, you know, a sweep of one of them all over your lid and then try to build up, like, more of one of the darker shimmer shades, like, on the outside, on top of it, it's not going to stick very well. I don't know why that is, but that's been my experience with them. So the way that you can make it workable is just to make sure that you put them where you want them, exactly. And then, as far as the colors go, like the reason why I've wanted to love this palette so bad and the reason why I bought it, really without researching it much or swatching it, is because the palette just has very unique colors. Now, like I don't want to buy a lot of palettes that are all just, you know, copies of each other, and this is just very unique, I feel. The top colors are all very warm. You have like a khaki kind of color, or mustardy almost colored gold color, a peach color that is, I feel, a similar concept to MAC's Expensive Pink. However, I actually swatched both of them on my hand for you. Hopefully they will show up because my light is going really fast here. This is MAC's Expensive Pink, and this is the one from the palette. Expensive Pink is a little bit more pink and a little bit more pigmented. And then there is a really nice medium shimmer shade right here, and that one I swatched right here. And the gold I swatched over here. Basically, when I built them up with a good primer, which I used the Urban Decay primer in Eden, the shade Eden, which is sort of like my flesh skin tone shade, I just had no trouble building up the pigmentation to what they look like in the compact. So, you know, I went on like maybe 2 or 3 coats to do that, but I mean, they're not unpigmented by any means, I don't feel. And so the shades on the bottom are also really, really unique because you have like a green, a blue, and a purple that are not your stereotypical green, blue, and purples. They're like muted colors, kind of. And so that makes it really nice for trying to incorporate these colors into more everyday looks without them being very bright. You know, these are like nice shades for people who want to experiment with these colors. Because they're more muted, they seem a little bit more neutral. And then also there's a deep brown that you can use, and I swatched it over here. The highlight shade, it's nice now, but I found when it was new to me, it seemed like it had like sort of chunky glitter like the old Urban Decay ones, but it ended up, like, I end up liking it now. Somehow it seems like it goes on more smoothly. And then in general, they're kind of dusty, sort of powdery, they're very soft, so you just have to be careful when you get into them because you can see on my palette there's sort of dust everywhere from them, like the little shimmer particles tend to like dust out and stuff, but in general, you know, like not the easiest formula to work with, but it can totally be worked with. So if you really like the palette and you really like the color combinations and you want to experiment more with these colors, like these are colors that I just loved when I saw them, and so I still like the palette a lot. Like I still will get a lot of use out of this palette. It's just a matter of if you want to spend a lot of money for a palette that doesn't have like the best shadows, because a lot of people only want to spend that much money on a palette if it has really, really nice shadows. So but you know, I feel like it has a lot of really positive qualities, even though the shadows may not be like the best quality. Like I like this palette a lot, especially just because of the colors. I mean, it may just be my personal preference, but I really liked the colors in it specifically, and I was able to make them work just fine for me. Oh, also these are supposed to be able to be used wet and dry, and I did not use them wet. So I can't really speak about that, but when I use them dry with the primer, I seem to have no trouble using them. Again, I'm sorry about the lighting. I started doing this video and then like all of a sudden within like 5 minutes it got dark where I live. It just disappeared. We're at that time of year where it's starting to get darker quicker where I live, and so I wasn't expecting that. So I may, if I look at the video and the swatches don't look good, I may take better photos in the daylight tomorrow and then tack them on to the end of the day. But anyway, thanks again so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye!